God has plans to prosper you, give you hope and a future too. So let me remind you of what you have the power to do. You can win, live your dreams, reach your goals, be happy, you can make it. Get motivated with Cassandra Mack. We've got wellness, church by phone. You don't even have to leave your home to be inspired, to rise a little higher with Cassandra Mack. You got haters, they gon' hate. Keep your head up and just be great. You can make it. Get motivated with Cassandra Mack. Let's get motivated with Cassandra Mack. You showed a friend your happiness, and that friend showed you their hate. It's giving envious vibes. I'm Cassandra Mack, founder of strategiesforempowerliving.com, CassandraMackMinistries.com. For more information about the company, ministry, my book, Speaking Life into Your I Am, as well as my other books, you'll see the Linktree link in the video description box. So this video is being done by request. A young woman who we will call Jane, who is one of the members of the Cassandra Mack YouTube channel, wrote in because she is dealing with this exact scenario. And this is a very common scenario. So there are some friends who want you to do well, right? They don't want to see you eating out of a trash can. And they don't want to see you sleeping on on a park bench. So they want to see you do well, but not better than them. And so the scenario we'll call her Jane. The scenario in Jane's situation is that she was struggling financially within her friend group. And there was one friend who was kind of like the queen bee of the friend group, or at least that's how she saw herself. And she had the highest paying job, biggest house, most luxurious car. And as long as she was the friend who was kind of like the queen bee or the shiniest object in the room, then she was able to be friends with this particular woman, Jane. But as Jane began to find her own way, make stride, make headway, and is really thriving and succeeding, she was shocked that we'll call the friend, what can we call the friend? We'll call the friend Jackie. So Jane was shocked that Jackie wasn't happy for her. And so she got engaged, Jane. Jackie is married. And in their friend group, some are single, some are married. So she really thought that Jackie would be so excited for her, being that, she's married, and Jackie constantly talks about how great her husband is, how great her life is, according to, what Jane shared. And so she thought that Jackie would be ecstatic for her, and she was shocked that Jackie has begun pulling away. And not only that, she has found out from other girls within the friend group that Jackie has been talking about her in terms of the engagement. And not just that, talking about that her business isn't all that. I think she does nails, and that she really doesn't do that good of a job with nails, that she uses another nail technician. And this type of talk only started once Jane started making headway in her life, when she got engaged, when she got a new job. Like, there was succession of good things happening in Jane's life. And Jackie just kind of flipped and turned on her. And she cannot wrap her mind around how this is possible, because they have been friends for many years, over 10 years, she says. And so it's important to know, so that you are not shocked when this happens to you, that sometimes we know people by their fruit, right? And you hear me say this all the time. The Bible is very clear. The Bible says you will know them by their fruits. Do men gather grapes from thorn bushes or figs from thistles? And it uses that comparison, that analogy, right? So we know people by their fruit. Fruit is what you produce, right? So fruit always starts out as a seed. And so a lot of times what happens is, because seeds are so small, it's easy to overlook a seed. It's easy to not really pay attention to a seed because it is so small. Sometimes the seed is how they treat another person. Sometimes the seed is how they talk about another person who is doing well. You see a little bit of that comparison, frenemy type behavior, and it may not have been directed towards you at the time because maybe at the time they didn't see you as a threat. And so, but there were still seeds there, seeds of I'm better than everybody else, seeds of I have to be the shiniest object in the room. But a lot of times when the seeds are not being thrown in our direction, right, it's easy to overlook those seeds. So Matthew 7:16 says, you will know them by their fruit. Do men gather grapes from thorn bushes or figs from thistles? And so those seeds of envy, if that's something that your friend, this friend harbors, they were always there. They just might not have been directed towards you. And they weren't growing into full fruit yet towards you because that individual didn't feel threatened by you. We really don't know what's in a person's heart until we're in a situation where that particular quality or characteristic is triggered. And it's important to know that, this can happen to anyone. This can happen to anyone. And so when you begin to see these kind of behaviors, you cannot be dismissive of it and downplay it. So some people are in a space where they're in constant competition, constant comparison mode. And when they compare their life to yours, as long as they feel that they have the best marriage, at least that's the appearance that they give, that they have the biggest house, that they are the prettiest, whatever the thing is, you can insert whatever the thing is that they pride themselves on. As long as they're the wisest, as long as they feel that they are the shiniest object in the room, you're not going to really see what their trigger points are because it hasn't been triggered yet. But once you begin to interrupt the status quo, once you begin to shift the dynamic, even subtly, you'll begin to start to see those seeds begin to develop those seeds sprout up. And so it can be something as simple as she was always the one who gave marriage advice or relationship advice, right, to everybody because she was married. Maybe now you're engaged and you are, you have friends that ask you, how did you meet? What did you do? You're giving advice and you notice like every other sentence she's interrupting you, but they're asking you the question. And you were like, wow, she never did that before. That's kind of odd. That's weird behavior. What's going on? And you'll notice that there are little shifts in your interactions. And it's not about being paranoid, right? I want to be very clear because we don't want to be paranoid thinking everybody's haters. There are a whole lot of people that's not haters. But when you do start to see that spirit, because really what you're dealing with is a spirit. It's important to understand that. We get so caught up in the person that we forget we're dealing with a spirit. And we have to be open to that. So if a person is open to the spirit of envy and they're receptive and they let it brew, because how does a seed grow? A seed grows because it is planted in soil, right? Fertile soil, and it's cultivated, it's nurtured. And so if a person is planting seeds of envy in their mind and they choose to focus, well, she thinks she's this. And she's not better than me. She's not better than me. I was married longer than her. I have a better house than her. So do you see how like that seed is growing? It's beginning to develop roots. It's beginning to sprout up. So it's a seed, which is like a passing thought. But then we get to decide, are we going to choose life and blessings or death and curses? We get to decide what we're going to do with that seed. So anyone can experience the emotion of envy, right? Envy starts as an emotion. And then it can grow to a full-fledged temperament or a spirit because everything is filtered through the mind and everything starts as a thought and thoughts are seeds. So a person can have a thought of envy, but it is what they do with the envy. So if a person decides to be like, nah, that's my girl. I need to be happy for her. Let me check myself. This is not cool. I'm not a hater. You know what? My life is good. I'm happy for her. She deserves this. Maybe you take it to God in prayer. Lord, I'm struggling with this. This ain't me. And maybe it is you, but it was never triggered, so you don't know. So you take it to God in prayer. So we are not left defenseless if we have that kind of thought or feeling. But what happens in a lot of friendships, right, is that when the dynamic of the friendship changes, and this happens in families as well, but when the dynamic changes, whatever those power dynamics are, whatever the dynamics are in terms of who is the person that is looked at as the shiniest object in the room, who is the person that makes the plans, who is the person in that circle that everyone kind of runs things by. This is stuff we don't really like to talk about because it's very nuanced. And it can trigger it can trigger all kind of feelings. It can trigger feelings of feeling rejected, feeling left out. But it is still important to be aware that these are subtle dynamics that happen among friends. And just among human interaction. It's really about human interaction. So you will have people that when you share your happiness, and it can be you got the promotion. It could be you aced the interview. It could be any area of your life, your business is thriving. It could be that you're growing spiritually. It could be any area, weight loss, something you could see visibly. It could be any area where you are starting to make a observable improvement and change. And you may notice that those dynamics within that particular friendship begin to change. Don't ignore what you begin to see. Remember, red flags, know your colors, right? We talked about this in a previous video. Know your colors. Red flags start out as yellow flags. So when you think about a traffic light, red means stop, green means go, and yellow means the light is about to change. So what happens as the dynamics shift in a relationship, you'll notice yellow lights. They're not completely red yet. Right? So it's not a big red light where you're like, this is red flag behavior. But it's a yellow light. It's a change. Like, well, that's weird. We usually don't communicate like that. Or, wow, did she just take a shot at me? Did she just take a shot at me? Like, we don't get down like that. Or you have a close friendship group, or you and a friend are cool, and maybe some guys come around, and her whole demeanor and behavior changes once guys come around, and she goes into competitive mode, and you're looking like, who's this person? Like, we were cool. The whole vibe changed because, we're talking to some guys now. They came over and now she's in competitive mode and throwing little shots and bringing up embarrassing moments. Who's this person? I don't even recognize her. So rather than dismissing it, you need to pay attention to that because red flags start out as yellow flags. And the Bible says it is the little foxes that spoil the vine. There's a reason why little foxes spoil the vine, because little foxes don't look threatening. So because they don't look threatening, you don't pay attention to them. You don't think that it's anything that needs to be addressed or anything that needs for you to say, let me reevaluate this situation because it's little. But little foxes eventually grow up into big foxes. And this is why the little foxes spoil the vine. So really begin to pay attention to that, and do know that some people are in constant comparison mode. So an example is sometimes, right, you might watch a reality TV show, and there are some people that will watch reality TV and they'll look at the individual and say, well, my life might be bad, but I ain't got as much drama as her. At least my life is not that bad. And sometimes when you have a friend who looks at your life in that kind of way, like, okay, well, now I feel like I'm the pretty one. I feel like I'm the successful one. Who are you to go change the dynamic? Like, my life is not messed up like hers. Like, I don't have her issues. And we all got something. But if we miss these cues in terms of human behavior, we will be scratching our head asking, why could they be this way, when the answer is right in front of us, when it is glaringly obvious that people are people wherever they go. And people experience a myriad of emotions. And if you notice that that is problematic in your friendship, it is something that you have to figure out. What am I going to do now that I'm seeing this change in behavior? And everything doesn't merit a cutoff. You really have to decide what works for you. Sometimes it merits a conversation. Hey, what's going on? I noticed the last couple of weeks you've been dot, 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 dot. And then you would give examples. Are we good? Because it seems like, and then you would fill in the blanks of what you're seeing, what you're noticing that's different in the dynamic, and you give them an opportunity to correct their behavior. So it depends on what the friendship is worth to you. It depends on how much you value that friendship. So you would have to decide. No one can really tell you what to do with your life. But these are some things that you would consider, because you're the only one that has to live out the consequences. Or sometimes the behavior gets to the point where it is really toxic. It's beyond like annoying and frustrating. And it's to the level of toxic. And you may decide, you know what? I don't want this in my life. So you'll figure out what you need to do about it. But the point I'm making is, don't be surprised when you share your success with people that everybody's not going to clap when you win. There will, and here's the other thing. You're going to be shocked to find out who doesn't clap when you win. Sometimes the person that you really thought would clap when you win, you were like, what? Not you. Like, I was there for every monumental moment in your life. I rejoiced when you rejoiced. I always looked up to you. I was always happy for you. How can you hate on me now that I'm getting a little time in the sun? Like, what's up with that? And so you may be really shocked, but don't be. Don't be, because we never know what seeds are inside of a person. Because remember, you may not have triggered those seeds of envy at that time, but now that your life is going in a different direction, you begin to see, what people are made of. And human beings have a hard time adapting to change. Just on the strength of looking at human behavior, human beings have difficulty changing. And so if a friend is used to a dynamic being a certain way and then that changes, it could be a little difficult for that person. And so this is why you will decide, does it merit a conversation? Are you going to call them out and have a conversation? We've been friends for more than 10 years. I noticed that ... and it's starting to look like ... You're going to fill in the blanks. And I noticed when I told you about my engagement and when I told you about the new job, I noticed you started acting like you weren't happy for me. And this is why I feel this way, because this is what you said. Be as clear and specific as possible so that the person really has a clear understanding of why you feel that way. And then if they're defensive or they don't want to deal with it, listen, at least you approach them like a grown-up. Or you may decide not to. Again, your choice, your life, do you. But don't be shocked when the dynamics of your relationship changes, when people were used to thinking that they were better than you, when they were used to thinking they were doing better than you. I had that in my own life with people that I have known for many years, that as long as they thought that they were doing so much better than me, and I was the lowest man on the totem pole, the friendship was good. But as I began to grow in ministry, they had a hard time accepting the new me. But the Bible is very clear, right? That we take off the old man and we put off the new man. And God is doing a new thing in the lives of his people. And sometimes when God does a new thing in your life, it is really difficult for people who knew you way back when to accept the new things that God is doing in your life, because they're used to seeing you one way and they have a hard time adjusting. And this is why you hear the saying, you can't take everybody with you. You can't take everybody with you. You can try to share your happiness and let them know, hey, I want you with me. I want you to be part of this. But if they have no interest, if they're threatened by it, if they don't want to see you have any type of good blessings in your life, you got to still move forward and do the things that God has for you to do. So I hope that this was helpful. And if this has ever happened to you, that as long as this friend or family member felt that they were better than you, whatever better looks like, as long as they thought that they were better than you, and let me be clear, I'm not saying people are better than people. Nobody's better than anyone. We're talking about the mindset that some people have. So some people do have a mindset, right, like an air of superiority that they are better than others. And so as long as they were better or felt they were better than you, it seemed like on the surface, everything was cool. They showed up at your events. They supported you. But as soon as you started making a turnaround in your life, you noticed that things started to go downhill. Has that happened to you? How did you handle it? Were you able to have a clear conversation about it? And was the person receptive? Or was it not worth it to you to have a conversation and you just moved on? Because different people are going to handle things different ways, right? We're all individuals. But it would be helpful for the person who wrote in to see the comments of how people handled this situation, who were in this situation. And then they have some different perspectives and they can figure out, you know what, I think I'm going to handle it this way. So with that being said, I hope you found this helpful. I want to share a resource with you. They're actually the sponsor of today's video, and that is BetterHelp. So maybe you're in a place where you want to get some therapy. You want to unpack some things that you were going through. Maybe you want to get some coping skills. Well, BetterHelp provides therapy online. So the beauty and ease of that is no matter where you are, because it is done online, you can access a therapist through BetterHelp. So I'm going to give you the link. It's also going to be in the video description box. You can click right on it. So the link that you can use to find out more information is betterhelp.com/Cassandra. BetterHelp spelled HELP.com/Cassandra. By using that link, you will be afforded a discount. And again, it's betterhelp.com/Cassandra. And they also make it easy for you to change therapists if for whatever reason your first therapist is not the right match and fit for you. So check them out. I also want to make sure that you know about the Wednesday Wellness Club. So the Wednesday Wellness Club, we meet the first and third Wednesday of every month, and we focus on inner wealth, mental self-care, mind management, all through a biblical lens. And we have an amazing time. It is very therapeutic. We meet by a telephone conference call, so we have an opportunity to talk to one another, not for you to just talk to me, but for you to talk to the other folks who are part of the Wednesday Wellness Club. And it's an opportunity to connect with like-minded people who are focusing on their inner wealth. And so if you would like to be part of that, that is a feature that comes with being a member of the Cassandra Mack YouTube channel at the second tier. So check it out. The link is in the video description box. And when you click on the link, you'll see that there are 3 levels of membership. And if you want to access the Wednesday Wellness Club, that's for the second level or higher. We also have a book club meeting coming up on Tuesday, October 3rd for members of the Cassandra Mack YouTube channel at the second tier or higher. So the book club meeting is going to happen via Zoom. That means we'll get to see each other. I'll see you. You'll see me. We'll be on camera on Zoom. And we're going to be focusing on the book, Simple Prayers to Pray When You Don't Know What to Say. That will be the book that we will be diving into for our members-only book club meeting. So check out the things that we have to offer in membership. You'll see that we have some really cool benefits and features. If you're not yet ready to become a member, you can enjoy the free public videos. But if you want to dive deeper, you want more tips, tools, tactics, strategies, you want to go in deeper, I would definitely encourage you to become a member. So with that being said, have an amazing day. Take care of yourselves and each other and be blessed.